everyone. I'm Janine, the Pricing Lady, and you are live with me right now on Facebook. I must confess, this is the first time I'm doing this, so bear with me if there are any challenges. And if you can't hear me or if something is up, please do put something in the chat there. I should be able to see that and make adjustments if needed. So welcome to the first episode of the show, Live with the Pricing Lady. I'm really excited to have you here with me today. This is going to be quite an adventure, and I'm really looking forward to the entire process. Let me get out of this way. I really love pricing, and I have such a passion for what it can do for people in their businesses. And that's really why I'm here. Now, today we have a solo cast. I'll talk a little bit later about what I plan to do with this program in the future. But for right now, today we're going to have a solo cast because I want to share with you what the show is all about and why I'm starting it, and give you a little bit of something to start thinking about for pricing in your own business. So my goal with this program is to encourage small business owners and entrepreneurs to think about pricing more broadly, to see pricing as part of their overall business and marketing strategies, as opposed to just a number. And knowing that it's not just a number, that it's more than that, is actually the first step towards making pricing, or allowing pricing to make a real difference in your business. And that is really what I want to achieve with this program. And we're both going to be learning along the way. You're going to be learning a lot more about pricing, and me as well, as I talk to my guests, and I'm going to be learning how to do this. So this will be a lot of fun. A quick heads up. So this is new for me, and it is also live. We're all going to have to just roll with whatever happens. And I may be actually saying that for myself more than I'm saying it for you. And that's, it's all part of the fun. I'll do my best to pay attention to the chat so that I can see what questions and comments are coming in. And I will do my best to answer them when I can as we go along. But if I'm not able to address them directly during the live portion, you can certainly expect that I will take care of them later on. Now, a few words about how this is going to go into the future. So, as I said, today is a solo cast. Normally, I will have a guest on the show, and they'll fit into one of a few categories. So sometimes my guests will have a burning pricing question, like the guest I have scheduled for next week. Stay with me and I'll tell you more about that at the end. Sometimes my guests will want to have some live coaching. So they'll be telling us about their business and what they do and what they're trying to price, and I'll be coaching them through how to price that live on the show. Now, sometimes I'll have guests on the show who have had their businesses for a longer period of time and want to share their pricing journey or experience with us. And that is really good because a lot of times we can learn from the mistakes and trials and tribulations that other people have had. They have wisdom that those people out there with younger businesses might not yet have. And then other times I will have guests on the show who are themselves experts on topics that are closely related to pricing. So for example, sales or money mindset, different types of things. I'll look out there and keep my eye out for what would be interesting to you as the audience and to me as the host. And I'll bring those people on the show so that we can all learn together. Now, typically these shows will be about 20 minutes long. I'll have to keep track of the time. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the interesting topics and discussions that we have. I'll do my best to keep it to 20 minutes. You'll get introduced to new faces as we go along, but most importantly, you're going to learn more about how to be setting the right prices in your business so that you can be closing more deals in whatever context that comes. Now, if you haven't been following me before, then I suggest you go to my Facebook page, The Pricing Lady, so at The Pricing Lady, and you make sure you follow me. So on Mondays, we have Mindset Matter Days, and on Wednesdays, I give away pricing tips. And then on Fridays, I usually have a post or blog of some sort. And those are there for you to enjoy and consume and learn from. A few words to myself. For those of you who don't know me, I am a native Californian. I grew up in the US in Sacramento, California. I lived on the East Coast after university. I lived in Connecticut, and then I moved to Switzerland in 2001. I speak both English and German fluently. Career-wise, I started my career as a structural engineer designing buildings, totally related to pricing, right? Well, I did a little bit of pricing in those years, but that wasn't my primary role, of course. After a few years of doing structural engineering, I actually decided to switch. I wanted something that had more connection with people, and I became a product manager and worked in the area of marketing, but more on the technical product management side. And later, years later, after I moved to Switzerland, I then focused on pricing only. I first became the global pricing manager of a large multinational, and I traveled the globe during those corporate years, helping the local entities price their goods and services better. So we worked on their pricing strategies and their price setting, their pricing models. I did trainings for the sales team on how to do value selling. I did trainings on value pricing. We looked at how to price things, products especially, throughout the whole life cycle of a product. So for some of these really big companies, of course, the life cycle or the life of a product is really long. And I did that in the corporate world, a couple different companies, a couple different industries for more than 15 years. And then in 2015, I left the corporate world. And by 2017, I started my own business as the pricing lady. And that's how I ended up in front of you here today doing this. Now, that's just a little bit so that you can know about me. I've worked with hundreds of businesses. I've worked with thousands, probably even tens of thousands of different people over the years to help them with their pricing in all different contexts. But the goal was always set better prices so that you can close more deals and you can get on the road to financial freedom. Today, what I have for you in terms of content is I'd like to focus on what I said earlier, and that's that pricing is so much more than a number. This is really a catalyst for your business once you understand that. Pricing is the thing that will affect the bottom line of your business more than anything. What do I mean by the bottom line? I mean your profit or your ability to earn money. And this is important because only businesses that earn some money will be there in the future to be able to continue serving their clients. So it goes hand in hand. Now, some of you might be thinking, ooh, but I don't want to be greedy. You're not being greedy. You're being a business owner. It's not about going after profit at all at any cost. It is about making good business decisions so that you can continue to be there to serve your clients in the long term. So I want to look at this in two contexts. So this concept that pricing is more than just a number. Now, the first context that I want to look at it is in the context of setting a price. Now, we tend to focus, and I see this all the time with my clients, they're incredibly focused on finding this perfect number. I always kind of relate it to the Field of Dreams. If you ever saw the movie, The Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. People have this mindset. Price it and they will buy it. And it just doesn't work that way. It's so much more. And I say hi out to Olga, who has put a little chat on here. I'm glad to know that you all are out there and listening. So hi, Olga. So again, price setting is not enough. And this is my point. You have to go beyond that. Once you set the price, you also have to go out there and do two more things at a minimum. That's get the price and then continue to manage those prices over time. And this is the first way in which pricing or price setting is what you need to move beyond in your business. So yes, you do have to set a number, but actually what comes after that is in many ways more important. You just put a number out there and people don't have an understanding of the value that you're delivering behind that number, they're going to make an assumption about that. And maybe that assumption is aligned with what you think the value is, and maybe it's not. And if it's not, or if they feel confused in any way, then confused customers tend not to make a purchase. So that's why it's so important. I call it actually follow through. So I'm a tennis player. I played tennis for many years, love to play tennis still when I can. But my instructors always told me you have to follow through. And it's the same thing with your pricing. You actually need to set the price and then you follow through. You follow through by understanding how to get it, which I mean, how you communicate around your prices. And then in the next step, your prices need to be managed over time. And here's a good example. We are midway through the year, a little bit more than midway through the year. People are going to start coming back from holiday soon. And all of a sudden they're going to realize, oh, I need to have my prices ready and set for 2020. What do I do? Well, if you have processes in place to manage that easily over time, then you're not going to be freaking out come the end of the year. You're going to have a set way to do it, and it's going to be easier for you to do. The things that your prices are based on are changing over time, which means that you need to manage it over time as well. So that was the first context that I wanted to talk about, how important it is that you think of pricing as more than just a number in your business. Now, I'd like to move to the second context that I want to talk about this. And this is in the context really of price setting. So if we just leave the getting and managing to the side for a moment, you'll come back to that later. Yes, you will. But just look at setting prices and how that is more than just finding a number. Now, there are three things, or three, what do I want to call them? Three elements. Three elements when it comes to your price setting that you need to consider. And the first is, how am I going to set my prices, right? So how am I going to do that? And the how is answered by having a very clear, what's the word? Yes, by having a very clear method for how you're going to set them. So I know many of you struggle with being confident about how to set your prices or even how to talk about them. Well, that will come when you have a clear method for how you do it. So the method is one aspect of your price setting, but there's more than just the method. So the method will help you get to a number, right? But then you also have to think, well, what are the pricing strategies that I can use? And you will have different strategies for different parts of your offer. Some of your offers, just think that, some of the little offers that you have that you bring to people are there to sort of tease them. And then you have bigger offers later on. Now, usually the value is smaller and bigger, but not always. Sometimes you take something that has a lot of value and you offer it as a teaser, and that is a specific strategy. There are lots of different strategies that are out there that are useful for you when it comes to your business. Now, you don't have to spend hours and hours of your time contemplating what to do. What you do have to know is what's going to work in your business. And when it comes to your pricing strategies, you want to be able to measure and go back and see how that strategy is working for you. That is also part of your price setting. The third and last element is around your pricing model. Now, most businesses will have some sort of model. If you have a business where you really only offer one thing and you have one price for everyone, then of course you don't need a pricing model. But let's give an example. Let's give an example first from a bigger company, and then we'll look at a smaller company. So in a bigger company, let's say business to business, B2B, you will be selling to different channels. So you might be selling to a channel. I'll go back to my days at Siemens. We sold to electrical and mechanical installers. We sold to distribution, and we sold to OEM. It doesn't matter what their name. There were just three different types of customers that we sold to. None of them were the people who were using the product in the end. So we had to sell to them, and we sold to them at different prices. So each channel had different prices, and within each channel, different customers had different prices. And so the model was the structure that we used to determine what each customer would pay for each product or each service. Now, another type of pricing model that we see all the time today is when we look at the pricing pages on, say, software as a service type businesses, and we've all seen them. Usually they have 3 or 5 columns, and basically how you use their product determines what your price is. And again, that is a pricing model. Now, if you have a coaching business, you might have a pricing model around your different coaching packages. And so the pricing model is something else that you need to consider as part of your business. So those were the 3 elements that I wanted to talk about in terms of thinking of your pricing as more than just a number. And in the context of price setting, you need to think about, how am I going to do it? So what is my method? What are the strategies I'm going to employ to do it? And what model will I use in order to make it easy for myself and my customers to understand what their price is? So now you've gotten a little bit of an introduction into how pricing is so much more than a number. And I'd like to say one thing to wrap that part up, and that is pricing is so much more about the human psychology. And when you understand that, it gives you a lot more freedom to play with and use your pricing strategically in your business. And that is what is going to make a difference in the long term. So yeah, you got to focus on that number, but let's also broaden our mindsets and bring that out so that it becomes more as something that's there to support our business and our marketing strategies. So that's what I've got for you today. I'm so glad that you joined me. And for those of you who are watching later on, thanks for watching as well. I'll be sure to put your comments and questions below. I will also put a link to the following. So I've got a question for you. What are the 3 most dreaded words when it comes to pricing? Can anybody guess? Well, you might know it's "that's too expensive." Those 3 little words make your heart sink a lot of the time. And that's why I've got a complimentary video series and guide for you that you can go and grab. Just go to www.janineliston.com/TEC. I'll put that in the chat below as well. TEC is for Too Expensive Checklist, because it's a video series and checklist. So janineliston.com/TEC. Now, I told you before, I already have the guests lined up for next week. I'm really excited to have Jessica Lockhart on the show. She is the creator of something called Humanology, and you'll have a chance to learn about that. Now, in the show next week, we're actually going to be addressing a burning question that Jessica has. And her question is, how do I price internationally? So we're going to dig in the topic of international pricing. I definitely hope that you'll join us for that one. It will be really great. And until next time, I wish you all the best and enjoy pricing.